by Toastmasters International since 1981. Ron Chapman, during the process, was forced to find his signature style, and he learned more than he could have ever imagined along the way. Here to share with us some of those lessons learned on the journey is Ron Chapman with Going to the Dogs.
Oh, thousands of voices rise as the finalists appear. Tails wagging, tongues lolling. It's the greatest dog show in the world, Westminster. These animals are the finest in the world, but the audience in the know knows that it's in fact a competition between the elite two. The glorious black Labrador Josh, who glides around the arena on a cushion of charisma. And the compact, adorable Chinese pug Lily with perfectly curled tail and smashed snout. The energy level is high as the animals circle and then settle to await the announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, Westminster Kennel Club is proud to announce our best in show, the Chinese pug, and the crowd roars. But there is a noticeable undercurrent of disappointment from many who cannot understand how this glorious Labrador was beaten by a short, squat, ugly sausage on legs. My friends, I know that's a little over the top, but it's intended to focus you on this idea of best in show. You see, Lily the Chinese pug didn't have to beat Josh the Labrador, because you can't compare a pug and a lab. Lily had to fully manifest puggishness, Liliness, to be the best pug she could be, and to be better at pugness than Josh was able to demonstrate his Labradorishness. That best in show principle works on humans too. I'm going to ask you to do this simple one with me after I say it. You can't out-zig Zig Ziglar. Ready? Together? You can't out-zig Zig Ziglar. Sheila, you can't do Keith. You're not Keith. Keith's Keith. Maggie, be a tragic mistake for you to try and meet the standards of Kim Young Kim. Not a chance. You see, best in show is a signature style. Now, why does that matter to us? It matters because the professional track and the standards that are held are filled with people trying to simulate or emulate or copy other speakers. And yet the magic comes when you become wholly, fully yourself, just like Lily the pug. So that the standard you hold for what you want to become as a speaker is a fully realized Joe Sasso, not to become like Willie Heyman. So when I was going through the accredited speaker process, they held this thing up. They said, you need a signature style, to which I said, what the fuck is a signature style? And so they started talking to me and yada, yada, yada. I learned the two important questions you have to ask about this idea of establishing your own unique pugness, right? You have to first ask the question, what's my sweet spot? What's my sweet spot? But you have to couple that question with a second question, which is, what's my value proposition? What's my sweet spot? What's my value proposition? The challenge for many of us is we never get past sweet spot because we want to talk about what we want to talk about. We want to be who we are, do our thing. Somebody alluded to it earlier. You got to be thinking about the audience. That's the value proposition. So how do you find that out? Well, you talk to audiences. You ask them. Not those words because they won't know what the heck you're talking about. You say, what about what I was doing made a difference? And how did it affect you? Talk to me, tell me, what did I do? And they'll start talking to you. And you won't have any idea what they're telling you, because they'll say things like, they'll go like, oh, you were real, man. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. But then you have to follow up and say, okay, translate that for me. Okay? So you got a real experience. How did that happen and what did you get from it? And then they'll tell you things like, well, you know, what happened was you told that story, which was very, very honest about yourself. And I said, what'd you get? He said, you gave me permission for me to tell my truth. Value proposition. I've now connected the dot between something I'm doing and something they're getting, and if you don't solve the what they're getting, there's no future for you in a professional speaking role. They got to get something. And then they'll tell you things like, well, you know, and I was thinking about this, Claudia, as you were presenting. They'll say, you know, you're at your best when you're interacting with the audience. Oh, great, okay. Like, when and how I'm interacting, what does that do for you? Right? It's like, they tell you things like, well, when you used my name, when you called me Sheila, you brought me in with you. Oh, and when you compared me to Kim Young Kim, you helped me see something in a way. You translated it. What? I translated. Tell me more. In fact, one of the pieces of feedback I got was that I'm a master translator, is what they told me. Who knew? I did not know that about myself. That's what they told me. And they said, so how do you do that? Well, you use these metaphors and you do these things that help take one experience and put it in a context so I can get it. Oh, I'm a master translator. Oh, thanks. At one point, somebody told me, this is really funny. I was speaking at a conference in Arkansas, and I did this deal. It was fun. I was throwing toilets into the audience, but that's another speech. Come back for that one. And somebody came up and they said, you're a transformational philosopher. What? They would love to give you feedback, but you've got to get deeply curious and stop thinking you know who you are and what you're delivering, because you probably don't know. So you got to ask, what's my sweet spot? What's happening out there? And what's the value proposition? What are you getting from me? What's the payoff for you? So when I got through the accredited speaker process, I was really at this conundrum, because at that point they offered you a 40-minute deal at the International Toastmasters Convention, a 20-minute deal, or a 40-minute deal at a regional conference. And I'm like wrestling, right? Let's see, thousands of people, 20 minutes, 200 people, 40 minutes. I got an ego just like you, I'm conflicted, right? So my friend Merv says, so Ron, what's your best style? I said, well, my best style is apparently interactive, that's what they tell me. He said, well, can you do interactive in 20 minutes? I said, not a chance. There's the answer. I got to stay true to who I am. I have to stay true. Then we asked, we're in this other one, it's like they expected a PowerPoint, because everybody knows you can't be a speaker for 40 minutes. Conference about PowerPoint. I hate PowerPoint, it's not my style. So Merv says, Ron, what's your sweet spot? What's your value proposition? No PowerPoint. I'm going to have to find a way to get them on my side without what they're expecting. So I threw toilets in the audience, and it worked very, very well. That's another speech, let's come back for it. So the secret, as you begin to understand this idea of what your unique puggishness is you're going to have to get really curious about what you bring. You're going to have to set aside what is actually closed-mindedness. Most of us, we have some tremendous blocks in the eye, some would say, that we don't understand who we are and we don't understand what we're bringing. And unfortunately, we don't get good enough feedback and we don't get curious enough because we love the applause and all the things that happen. So the two questions you got to start asking. What's my sweet spot? What are you getting from this? What's the value proposition? And then help me connect the dots. What did I do that helped connect this sweet spot you saw in me to this experience that you had? And one day, somebody came up to me and they said, and this is really heartfelt for me. Somebody came up and they said, this is someone who's been trying to publicize me for a number of years and doesn't know how to publicize me. Not because she's not a good publicist, because we don't know what I do. Which is some of you have told me, what does that guy do? Trade marketing. Anyway, she said, I finally got it. What you gave us in our group was an experience. That's what you're giving. You're giving us an experience. And so I got this one referral one day. Somebody was referring somebody to somebody, right? Anyway, person C, I'm A, person C says, person C says, so what's this deal about Ron Chapman? Person B, who's worked with me and done this deal, says, well, Ron's like really good. Yeah, but what does he do? Well, you know, you just need to do the experience with him. That's what they told me, is create a space, give people an experience, they'll come back. So here's how I want to close. It's a participatory exercise. Think about what you think your signature style might be. Just let it spool in your head for a moment. Now what I'd like you to do is bark with me. Give voice to that. Something is power when it comes out of our lips. Bark with me in any way you like on the count of 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh, that is a beautiful signature style.
Thank you so much for that, Mr. Chapman. All right, we're going to take a few minutes. We just need to do a little bit of setup, so just bear with us.